Hey guys, it's Tanya. Hope you are doing really well. I wanted to talk to you guys about an experience that I just had last week. And interestingly enough, it's really probably the first time that I've had this experience, and I've been making videos on YouTube for a couple of years now. So I couldn't speak about it right when it happened because it was still too fresh and too raw, and I just wasn't in the right frame of mind to make a video about it. But good week and a half, maybe 2 weeks even, couldn't have been 2 weeks yet, but some time has passed and it's been addressed and dealt with, and I'm feeling a bit better now. So I thought I would come on here and make a video about this subject. Now, you guys know that I'm in an interracial marriage and that I have a natural hair channel. I made the decision once I started filming videos again in January of this year to talk about my family and my marriage more, to introduce that element more consistently onto this channel. So now I'm also doing weekly vlogs, and I talk about our interracial relationship and the whole context of interracial relationships. I have one video where I talk about a couple named Cassia and Jake Murray. You can check it out. It's called Stop Hating on This Gorgeous Couple. It's about a picture that was taken from them and memed with really hateful memes, and I comment on that and ask for your input. And then I made another video at the same time about interracial relationships, and the question on it is, why is this an issue? So I got some negative feedback, and you know, initially, I mean, when I first made my channel, I think somebody made a comment about black horror or something like that, and I said something like, you know, I feel bad for you and I'm praying for you, and I left it at that, and they didn't really respond back. They were trolling. So I really have not gotten loads of commentary like that, even on the videos where my children appear and even on the videos where Eric appears. But I made these two videos that directly addressed this subject, and for the most part I got pretty positive feedback. Even people who didn't agree with interracial relationships for various reasons said it in a positive way. You know, one of them was like, it's not that I have a problem with it, I just think it causes more, or can lead to more difficulty than not. I can respect that. I don't necessarily agree, but I can respect that. She was polite, or he, whoever it was, they were polite. But I got some really, really negative feedback from a few people. One person in particular, and I'm not gonna call him out or anything like that, but he started out by really not talking to me, which I realized throughout the process. It wasn't that he actually ever even wanted to engage me in the conversation. He wanted to take my page and point it out to his peers as another example of one of those black women who has a load of self-hatred and doesn't recognize who she is, and therefore basically runs to the white man for validation and sees the white standard as the highest standard. And he has religious fervor backing him. That's his driving force. He believes that biblically black people are superior to all of the races, particularly superior to the white race. Now, you know what? I'm not going to say to all of the races because I don't know that they believe that, but definitely that we're superior to the white race, and that white people are actually condemned by God, evil, damned, that they're white because they're leprous. And so to ally myself with a white man is the worst form of blasphemy and of self-hatred. I've had, you know, a few people come on my page a little prior to, and then since then, letting me know that I am in deception, that my husband will indeed harm me in the long run, that he's going to cause me untold grief because he's white. And I guess that it's just innate. It's just an innate characteristic. The level of prejudice in those statements is appalling. It's the same kind of statement that was made against black people. We're all ignorant because we're black. We don't have the capacity or the ability to learn the same way white people do because we're black. There was even the belief that because black women have bigger butts, that they had less mental capacity. These were beliefs in the past. I don't see that as being any different than saying white people inherently, they're evil. And here's the evidence: colonialism, expansionism, all of these things. No, people can be evil. Individuals can be evil. Individuals can work together in groups to perpetuate evil. All white people are not evil, just like all black people are not ignorant. There are some ignorant black people. There are some ignorant white people. But to classify a whole group and feel okay with that is the height of hubris, one of the words that's used against people like me. It's the height of arrogance. And when you couple religion with it, it kind of gives you carte blanche to say whatever you want about people because you believe you have God backing you up. That is never okay. God is not a God of hate. He's not. Even when God had the Israelites destroy a whole nation, you hear the heart of God for those people when he addresses it. You hear his heart when he's addressing the Edomites, when he says their sin is not filled up yet, which, by the way, is what people say white people are. One of these groups says white people are the Edomites. Anyway, you hear his heart even for Egypt. You hear his heart for Assyria. So as you can probably tell from my tone in this, I don't take well at all to people using God's name or using God to justify hatred, to justify evil in any context, and to allow themselves to remain blinded. But I do believe that that the root of this is bitterness and a need to find an identity. Okay, so bottom line, I don't agree with this belief system. And another person had contacted me and I stated, I'm happy to have the conversation with you, but I don't agree with these beliefs. I'm not going to be convinced, but I don't have a problem with dialogue and with learning more about what you believe. I've heard actually a lot about it in the past and I don't think it's true, so I'm not interested. But boy, when I tell y'all the level of animosity and vitriolic response that I received and an inability to dialogue, and what struck me the most was this unwillingness and inability to dialogue. There was an absolute, this is how it is, you're wrong, you're deceived, she's deceived, man, and therefore I'm not wasting my breath on you because you've obviously turned yourself over to the devil, to Satan, for his purposes. And I don't know if they call him Satan or not, but anyway, you've turned yourself over to a reprobate mind. So done with you. We tried to warn you, we tried to tell you. And it struck me as interesting because I thought, this isn't just this one particular group of people. This is their issue. They brought up the whole black-white issue and you're a sellout because you married a white man. But I'm very firm and strong in my beliefs, in my faith and my convictions. But I think, and I've seen, that oftentimes people in various religions, mine included, as I define Christianity, I believe Jesus was the Son of God, is the Son of God, died for my sins, rose again. I believe that the Jewish people are the descendants, physical descendants of Abraham, and that I, as a Gentile, am grafted into that family. Not replaced, that's another discussion, but grafted into that family. I do not believe personally that I am a physical descendant of the children of Abraham. Okay, not going to have that debate with anybody either. So please, we're not having that conversation. So, at any rate, my observation has been that there's dogmatism in most religions, and mine included, Christianity included, and there's such a danger in how we live our faith, and even within Christianity, in the context of sharing your faith with people, we have to be mindful, and these people who decided to attack me from their religious perspective, which I don't think they'd even call it a religion, they'd call it I don't know what they call it, but their perspective was also very dogmatic, and we have to convince you and we have to make you believe this. And I think that, you know, there's the danger of doing that within Christianity. There's the danger of doing that within any religion that teaches you to share your faith, to share with the lost, to share with the masses. So while I think as a Christian it's important and right and necessary to share my faith, this situation actually made me very mindful of how I do that and what I do in that context. And that I don't have any right to dogmatically force anybody to believe what I believe. I can share it with them, particularly if they're interested. And once they've expressed this interest, or even if they haven't, you know, it's not my job to convince them of anything. It's not really my job to go around telling them you wrong and you going to hell. You know, anyway, this situation really helped me to think about, to look at the whole idea of how, if your faith is really legitimate and God is really behind it and he wants you to share it with people, his spirit of love and grace will be behind it. Not a spirit of condemnation or abuse or mockery. And I've seen this particular branch of this group, because not everybody in this belief system behaves this way, but I've seen people in this particular group who are quite vocal and dogmatic and believe that God is backing them up in their fervor, kind of like the Apostle Paul was in his abuse against the early church until Jesus got hold of him. You know, there's a grace that comes with God's truth that enables you to communicate it without having to do it by your might or your spirit, because it's by the Lord's Spirit. It's not by the will of man. It's not by the will of the flesh. I was memed eventually. The guy took my picture, and on his Google Plus page, he made a meme. And it was pretty hateful. It was about me, and the meme basically said that I would choose the white doll every time. You guys remember in the 70s there was that test with a little girl? They presented a black doll and a white doll and asked her which one to choose and which one was more beautiful, and she said the white doll. So that was the meme that he stuck on there. Black and natural in Jerusalem would choose the white doll every time. And his friends kind of got on there and were like, of course she would. Yeah, you know, that's right. Well, what do you expect of these sisters these days? They've been deceived. Just all kinds of stuff like that. And it actually saddened me. Yes, I was angry, but I was sad too, because I just thought, actually, no, I didn't choose the white doll. But you know, I thought, you don't really know me. You know a stereotype that you've created. And in the midst of so much hurt and pain and resentment against white people for how they've treated our people, these individuals have fallen right into that trap, just in reverse. And they don't see it, or else they don't care. Because they put me and other women like me in this unbelievably huge yet narrow box, with all kinds of assumptions attached to it, which I mentioned in my other video, by the way, about interracial relationships. This assumption is that I hate myself, and that I hate being black, and that that I find more beauty in the white race and white people, which couldn't be further from the truth. I do think white people are beautiful. I think all people are beautiful. I think I'm incredibly beautiful. I love my brown skin. I could not be more comfortable. You know, I probably could, because we all could grow, but I am so comfortable in the skin that I'm in. Now, what's really interesting is that, and they made this observation too, the observation is that I have natural hair. And one of them said, it's all these natural hair girls these days who ended up with white men. You know, it's like a trend. It's like a disease. And I had to chuckle, because I just thought, if I'm willing to embrace my natural hair, it stands to reason that I have to have a certain level of confidence and comfort with myself, that I'm willing to embrace this right here. This right here, this identifies who I am. This identifies my race like, you know, nothing else besides the color of my skin could. So I would like to submit this. I, as a black woman, am very comfortable with who I am. one indicator of that is the fact that I have gone natural. Now, if these folks saw me on the street without my husband, they'd be like, girl, yes, you're a queen. A queen. And I am a queen. The race of my husband does not determine whether or not I am a queen, and whether or not I recognize who I am, and whether or not I have pride and confidence in that at a deep level. A queen is not determined by her race. A woman isn't a queen because she's black. I know there are going to be people who will be upset that I've said that, but it's true. A woman has value because she's created in God's image. I am very comfortable with who I am as God has made me. I don't think that that elevates me above anybody else. And that's the danger in these beliefs and in these systems, self-elevation. If you have to elevate yourself or believe that God has elevated you above somebody else in order to have a decent sense of self-worth, something is wrong. You need to go back to the drawing board and let God work in your heart, because your value and worth does not come from God loving you more than he loves anybody else. That's not where it's at, and that's not how it works. Your value as an individual comes from the fact that you're created in God's image. And so is the Asian guy over there. And so is that white woman over there. And so is that Arab lady over there. We are created in God's image. That's what gives us value and worth. Not that my race is superior to somebody else's. Women are much more than the sum of our marriage. You seeing my marriage doesn't give you an open book into the content of my mind and my ideas about my value and my worth and humanity. I can go there, I can have that conversation, but I saw that these individuals weren't interested in that conversation. They were interested in perpetuating and promoting their beliefs, which were, wow, so full of hatred and anger that I realized these aren't partners for a conversation. Okay. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to tell you all about it. Like I said, I had to sit on it for a few days. I did handle the situation the way I felt would be appropriate, and it's no longer an issue unless they're still out there making conversation. I don't know. But, you know, the conversation ended on my part. I do believe that the root of it is bitterness, and I pray for God's peace on them. Anyway, thanks for watching.